Hello, welcome to IGTV. I'm Angeline Ong, and we are looking ahead to the coming week, which starts 1st of April. It's going to be a bit quiet, given that the earnings season hasn't started yet, but boy, is there a lot still on the economic data. Let's start off with that first. On Monday, we've got the Caixin out of China, many looking out for some glimmers of recovery there to hopefully prompt a real meaningful rally in those markets. China's stocks are one of the ones that were the underdog in the first quarter. From Japan, we also had we are looking out for the manufacturers index. And from the US, it's the manufacturing PMIs, which is the one to watch. Tuesday brings with it the latest meeting minutes from Australia. The consumer price index reading from Germany will be interesting too, given that on the ground in Germany, it still does feel quite recessionary. In terms of the US, we got the JOLTS job openings ahead of that non-farms on Friday, of course. Factory orders, API crude oil inventories will be of interest as well, especially if you trade WTI. As I mentioned earlier, it's all about Caixin out of China. On Wednesday, it's the services side of things that we'll get. The consumer price index out of the Eurozone and the unemployment rate there will give us further signs as to how the ECB might act if and when the Fed starts cutting. From the US, it's the services PMI and the EIA crude oil inventories. And we also have an OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting to boot. Further along the week, it's all about producer prices from the Eurozone. Trade balance numbers out of the US will also be interesting. But as I said earlier, it's all about Friday, really, when we get the non-farm payrolls. And we'll have Chris Beecham to hand to react to that number. From the UK, look out for the Halifax house price data and factory orders and trade numbers from Australia. Just quickly going through the corporate news for you. It is quite light. We are waiting for the next earnings season to start. But we do have numbers, full year numbers from Hilton Food Group. And then later on in the week, look out for Conagra out with third quarter numbers. And on Friday, Sodexo hands in its first half report card. Let's cross over to Chicago now, where we have the one and only Tom Sosnoff standing by. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. It's been such a curious week, shortened as well. Some of the traders I've been speaking to saying they're taking bets off the table ahead of that PCE that's incoming. Others saying that they're trimming the positions. Others who trade indices with us saying they're sitting tight and seeing what next week brings. What are you seeing your side?
It's been kind of slow, Angeline, this week. So we are seeing, I hate to use the term, we've been seeing a little positioning or jockeying for the end of the quarter stuff. But with a long 3-day weekend coming up here in the US and the 4-day weekend for you guys, we've been seeing actually fairly light volume all week until yesterday. And it really feels like people are just setting up their portfolios to be, to essentially flatten out some of the risk a little bit. I think it's been more risk off than risk on the last couple of days. But to be fair, much to do about nothing has happened. I mean, we had 3 straight down days where we closed kind of weak. And then yesterday, they closed them super strong. So after the last 4 days, or essentially this whole week, we've gone absolutely nowhere since last Friday. So I think we're kind of just like everybody's playing a game trying to see who's going to take the lead. Is the Bulls going to continue to, push this thing higher, or the Bears going to maybe get an upper hand for a couple of days or weeks?
Tom, what do you think, what event really is going to ensure the Bulls or the Bears kind of take position? As you rightly say, there seems to be this sort of, flux at the moment. Is it going to be that PCE figure? Is it going to be Powell scheduled to speak in San Francisco?
No, I don't think it's going to be something that is predictable. I think this market, I think we do too good a job now of disseminating, news and fundamentals and things like that. I don't think it's going to be, this market's going to turn when you least expect it, or it's going to continue, obviously, when you least expect it. And I don't think it's going to be a specific event that you can point to. I think it's going to be exactly the opposite. I think people are going to look around and say, hey, what just happened and why? And I don't, in this market, bull markets like this, we love to kind of ride the wall of worry. And so I just don't see it as, bad news is good news and good news is good news right now. And until that changes, which may not be around a specific event, I don't think it's something that's predictable. I'll leave it there.
And just a quick one, if I may. This week we saw Tesla saying that they were going to allow US customers a free 1 month trial of its self-driving technology. What's the word on the ground? Is this just a way for them to try and bump up, uptake since it's fallen? Or is there a bigger push? Has this been welcome or just kind of set aside, this offer?
Well, Tesla's been on its butt, so they're trying to do something to, stir the pot a little bit and get people excited. It's funny because I have a Tesla, and so I've been down that path with them before. And I mean, whether or not you want to buy the self-driving, software, it's about 10 grand or $200 a month, something like that, or 10 grand to buy it outright. And I think that most people, just I just think it's more of a, hey, you know what? We want you to try this. We'll give you a month free, and then they're kind of just hoping that you don't cancel the subscription or something like that. I don't love it as a sales technique, but I think they've had a really hard time, selling that self-driving software. At least I didn't buy it, so I kind of feel like maybe that's what most people feel like.
I drive a Land Rover myself, and one of the things they do really well is that they offer you things to try, and then you get hooked, and then you feel like you have to have it because you can't imagine life without it. Is this something that happens with Tesla as well?
Well,
I've driven a Tesla, but I'm
I
not a
think
Tesla
so.
customer.
I think that's the game plan here. In the US, that's not that's not a real common sales technique. And so we don't see a lot of that. We don't see that with Land Rover. We don't see that with most other car companies. Now that, Tesla has the ability to push stuff through their software, which is kind of cool. But they're a little more advanced than anybody else. So I think Tesla's kind of the test pancake, as we say. And I think Tesla's the one who's gonna, let's see if this works type thing.
Right, well, watch the space. Thank you very much, Tom Sosnoff there from Tasty Live in Chicago. Tasty Live, of course, part of IG Group. And that's your look ahead to the week starting April 1st. I'm Angeline Ong, and this is IGTV.